Hello, and thank you for joining us once again for Music and Scriptures with Jerome and Sylvia. We're going to have a bit of music today, but probably not a whole lot of scripture. Since this is the week of the 4th of July celebration, we thought we would do some patriotic music today. Some of it is from our hymnal, some of it is not, but it should be a good time. We're glad that you're joining us. We're going to start out with our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner. Feel free to sing along. As we have said each week, we're glad that you're there, and we hope that you're taking the opportunity to sing together, even though we're not in the same room. The Star-Spangled Banner, a little history on it, was the poem was written by Francis Scott Key during the War of 1812, written in 1814 at the siege of Fort McHenry. The words, the music predates the lyrics, and they were adapted from another song that was written by John Stafford Smith. It's said that it's one of the most difficult songs to sing because of how many tones are in it. I think there's like 19 semitones in it. So it's not as easy as Mary Had a Little Lamb, for sure. But it's a great piece of music that reminds us of what our forefathers went through to gain our liberty and to secure it all the way down through the ages. The Star-Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave? Sylvia reminded me a while ago of a quote from, who was it?
Jeff Foxworthy.
Jeff Foxworthy. You might be a redneck if you think the last line of that is actually "Gentlemen, start your engines," or perhaps "Play ball." But it's a great song that reminds us that we owe our freedom to a great many people who suffered quite a bit to win it for us. We wanted to bring you something a little bit different during this week's music presentation, and I was able to coerce some of my friends to come together for us to do a quartet rendition of Eternal Father Strong to Save. Eternal Father Strong to Save is more commonly known, I guess, as the Navy hymn. It's the naval hymn not only of the United States, but of the Royal Navies, and many other nations around the world have adopted it as well. It was not written really for the military. It was written by William Whiting. He lived near the sea, had survived a shipwreck or a terrible storm, I guess, off of Malta, and remembered that. And that's what inspired the writing of this hymn. And then John B. Dykes came along and adapted another tune that he had. It's actually named Molina, which is another name for Malta. Eternal Father, strong to save.
Eternal Father, strong to save, whose arm has bound the restless wave, who bid the mighty ocean deep its own appointed limits keep. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. O Savior, whose almighty word the wind and waves submissive heard, who walked upon the foaming deep, and calm amid its rage did sleep. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. O Holy Spirit, who did brood upon the chaos wild and rude, and its angry tumult ceased, and gave for fierce confusion peace. Oh, hear us when we cry to thee for those in peril on the sea. O Trinity of love and power, all travelers guard in danger's hour, from rock and tempest, fire and foe, protect them wheresoe'er they go. Thus evermore shall rise to thee glad praise from air and land and sea.
We want to change gears a little bit and sing a couple of sing-along patriotic songs that I'm sure you're familiar with. We won't do all of them, just maybe the choruses to them. The first one we want to do is by George M. Cohan, I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy. I'm a Yankee Doodle Dandy, a Yankee Doodle Doodle, a real-life nephew of my Uncle Sam, born on the 4th of July. I've got a Yankee Doodle sweetheart, she's my Yankee Doodle joy. Yankee Doodle came to London just to ride the ponies. I am that Yankee Doodle boy. Another favorite sing-along patriotic song was by Irving Berlin. The rendition everybody knows and loves so much was by Kate Smith, God Bless America. God bless America, land I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night. Another favorite sing-along song is actually kind of written as a protest song in the 1940s by Woody Guthrie. It originally had about 6 or 7 verses. The 2 or 3 most politically charged verses are usually eliminated. You might hear them once in a while, but very seldom. But it's those 4 main verses that we're going to sing today. This land, that's all right. I'll tell you about the history of the title after this. This Land Is Your Land by Woody Guthrie. This land is your land, this land is my land, from California to the New York Islands, from the Redwood Forest to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. As I was walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sparkling sands of her diamond deserts, and all around me all voices sounding. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waving and the gas clouds rolling, as the fog was lifting, a voice was chanting. This land was made for you and me. Originally, this land was made for, what did I say? This land is your land. Originally, the title of this was America, but that was already taken by the next song we're going to do. My Country 'Tis of Thee is actually titled America. Woody changed the title to This Land, and then it has been changed to This Land Is Your Land as time went on. The next song we're going to do, is one that's actually in our hymnal. It's number 697 in the United Methodist Hymnal. And I found it a little interesting on this. This song was written in 1831 by Samuel Francis Smith. It was actually an assignment that he had in a class at theological seminary. The music, again, predated the song. The music is a tune from an Italian-born English composer named Muzio Clementi. It's from one of his symphonies. He was, as I said, originally from Italy, immigrated to England, and he wrote a symphony that I believe was called the National Symphony. Of course, the tune for this is used for God Save the Queen. So the tune has been around a little longer than the lyric. My Country 'Tis of Thee. And where my fathers died, and of can also be found in our hymnal. It's right across the page, it's number 696, America the Beautiful. The original poem for this was written by Catherine Lee Bates, and it was originally entitled Pikes Peak. She wrote it on a tour out west, and then Samuel A. Ward adapted music that, again, had predated the lyric, and they became a beautiful, beautiful blend. America the Beautiful. Confirm thy soul in self-control, thy liberty in law. We are a nation of immigrants. Unless you are of pure Native American blood, your ancestors came here from somewhere else. Some of them came willingly, some of them unwillingly. And that goes for all races. There are many people who came here seeking freedom. But there were many who came here in chains. Irish and Scottish rebels were brought here in slavery. Of course, we all know the great horror that was the African slave trade, and our brothers and sisters of color who were brought here against their will. But no matter how our ancestors came, we now have the opportunity for freedom. For some of us, that freedom is much sweeter and comes much easier, perhaps, than for others. The history of our own families many times doom us to where we are in the economic and social makeup of our nation. But we do have the opportunity and the freedom in this nation to become more than our ancestors were. Not only in terms of our financial and educational and social well-being, but also in our hearts and in the way we deal with our fellow man. The next song I want to do is also in our United Methodist hymnal. It's number 519. It's titled, "Lift Every Voice and Sing." It's a beautiful hymn, full of some dark statements, but also full of light and hope. Many of you may not know the history of this song. It was actually written in 1900 by James Weldon Johnson. Mr. Johnson was an educator in a all-black school in Florida, and he had been asked to speak at the Abraham Lincoln birthday celebration that was coming up. And instead of doing a regular address, a speech, he wrote this poem. And it tells the story, tells the history of the African American experience up to that point. Some years later, his brother wrote the music for this, and it has been known in some circles as the Black National Anthem. Mr. Johnson did go on to serve as an ambassador, and later was an officer in the NAACP, and one of the first black leaders in that organization. And this song was adopted as their official hymn. But it says more than just, it's not just about, even though the black history was in his mind when he wrote this, it really is the story of all people who long to be free. It mirrors in many ways the Christian experience. We have forefathers in our faith that have suffered so that we might be able to worship as we do. As you listen, I hope you'll look the words up and follow along. It's a beautiful song, filled with some dark imagery in the middle of the verses. But every verse ends on a positive note, looking ahead and looking for a positive outcome. One other thing I wanted to say, the very last line of this says, "Shadowed beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land." There have been some revisionists that have come along and said that true to our native land referred to Africa. But Mr. Johnson was not a separatist. He believed in the opportunity that we all have as Americans and the right of everyone who is born on this soil, who immigrates to this soil, to be free people and to be true to our native land is to be true to this country. Doesn't mean we always agree with everything that our leaders and our politicians do, but it does mean that we have the right to stand up and be counted when we disagree. Lift every voice and sing. Lift every voice and sing, till earth and heaven ring with the harmony march on till victory is won. Slowly the road we trod, bitter the chastening rod, felt in the days when hope unborn had died, yet with steady beat and on our weary feet, come to the place for which our Father sighed. We have come over the wave and the tears has been blotted. We have come treading the path where the blood was slaughter. Out of the gloomy past, till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our black scar is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us thus far on the way, thou who hast by thy might led us into the light, keep us forever in the path we pray, lest our feet stray from the place where we met thee, lest our hearts jump with the guiding will we forget thee. Shadow beneath thy hand, may we forever stand, true to our God, true to our native land. And that is our prayer, that we might remain true to our God, true to our native land, that we might offer the love and compassion to one another that God calls us to, that we might extend the branch of peace and freedom and liberty and hope to our brothers and sisters here and to others around the world who long for the freedom that we enjoy. Have a very happy 4th of July, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you.